Hey everyone, it's Alex, and welcome to the Marvel Snap Decks of the Week, the weekly series where I showcase the top 10 best decks in Marvel Snap. And if you'd like to support the content, be sure to hit the like button. It's free and it helps tremendously with the YouTube algorithm. And while you're there, be sure you're subscribed because, just to stay up to date with all the content in the future. With that being said, let's get started about the top 10 best decks, but we're going to be doing 11 this week as we usually do because Prodigy unfortunately does not make the statistical top 10, so I want to just offer up the deck that I've been playing for the weekend missions, which features both Esme Cuckoo and Prodigy together. Because this is like something I've been playing myself, there's not any stats around it, so play at your own risk because Prodigy's overall underperforming, but I figured, I'm going to do some Cerebro. I wanted to do some Crystal as well, because when do you get a chance to play Crystal? Crystal happens to be a 3-4 that works in C4, so I figured I get to play Hydration Bobbert, I get to play Hawkeye, I get to do stuff like Hope Summers into Spider-Man, generate some additional value, Nocturne gets played again, Claw, and ironically, Prodigy being a 3-4, kind of works here because you can hit the Cerebro at the very least, so you don't have to run something like Mystique. So I've been actually having fun with this deck. It's kind of unique. It's a little expensive because it has the Friggas and Esme and Prodigy and stuff. It has a lot of non-Series 3 cards, but this is what I've been playing. If you want to play something for Prodigy specifically, just want to kind of showcase this because it's just good for the weekend missions. And of course, if you're missing stuff like a Frigga, you can sub it out. You can even add Mystique to the deck if you really want, as a bare minimum. Let's go to the statistical top 10. We're going to start with number 10, and again, this is all untapped based statistics, infinite only. All of it is ranked from win rate down, and then if multiple decks have the same win rate, we go by the cube rate as the second determining factor. Negative Esme, running a 58% win rate and a 0.52 cube rate, is doing well. Now, what I really like about this here is that clearly Esme Cuckoo has elevated the negative archetype, and that's what we look for new cards, because usually the negative archetype is good during the, the bot farming phase of the ranking part of the season, first week, and so, people use negative to farm bots because bots can really just go 8 cubes against negative, not really understanding what the risks are. They snap into turn 5 and stuff like that. So to see negative Esme doing as good as it is against, infinite players only is actually kind of impressive. And a 52% cube rate is remarkable. I said percent, but you know what I meant. Anyways, it's running Gore, it's running the Lady Jane Foster package. If you're a player and you see a negative come down on turn 3 because of Psylocke or Ravonna, they snap. If they play Ravonna or Psylocke and snap, you know that they have negative on 3. That's just something you should do. It's just retreat, because you're not going to win a game unless you have something like an Enchantress or really heavy tech towards these types of decks. They just tend to clap the 8 cube games. So, negative Esme, pretty cool to see. And again, Esme definitely elevating this archetype. And that's going to take us to our next deck, which is going to be Surging Surfer. Surge Surfer is running a 59% win rate and a 0.56 cube rate, all of which very respectful. Again, Captain Carter finding itself nicely at home in Silver Surfer decks ever since being changed to A3 drops. Surprise, surprise. Surge, green list as well. And again, you do have Esme Cuckoo in here as well. Luna Snow making this list, which I found to be particularly interesting because I thought I was the only one in Marvel Snap playing Luna Snow, especially since, actually, I'll be honest with you, it didn't end up making the top 10, or people didn't really play it much. I just don't think a lot of people picked up Prodigy, but I've been actually having a lot of fun with the Prodigy Evo list I made with the Hulk and Luna Snow and stuff like that. And so I've actually been playing a lot of Luna Snow, and the power's not insignificant, so that's pretty cool as well. And theoretically with Luna Snow, you can get the Sarah out on turn 4 while also putting up 3-6 power. You just often want to blow up that cube so that you have, something that you can play in that location. You don't want just an ice cube sitting there, which is not really going to get buffed by anything. The deck is pretty good. It's solid. I like the idea of running a Killmonger purely for the tech. It's an anti-Thanos deck piece, and it's doing pretty well there. Overall, the deck has a lot of nice tech stuff, which, again, I just mentioned Killmonger, but also has the Rogue. It has the Juggernaut, which tends to steal games as well. And, of course, you have the Makari. This, I find interesting, does not feature Sebastian Shaw. When I play Silver Surfer, I find it very difficult to not include Sebastian Shaw. But, statistically speaking, this is one of the absolute top performing Surfer shells. Me personally, though, I would put Shaw in instead of like a Juggernaut or a Rogue. One of the tech pieces I would take out for Shaw, but that's just me. I'll leave it to you to decide how you want to modify the deck if that's what you desire. Going to number 8, we have Strange Surtur. Now, this is a brand new deck that just started swinging into the meta here. It's also a Thanos deck that might not be inherently obvious. Thanos is sitting here, so that's why Strange Supreme's in it, because you do feast on those stones. It's running a 59% win rate and a 0.64 cube rate, which is very high. This deck only has 220 games played, basically since its inception, and so it's like a relatively brand new list, and so therefore just keep that in mind. The stats can definitely range as I'm introducing it to more people, but you cannot doubt the fact that the statistics are impressive with that game sample. And so if you're interested in trying a little bit of a different take on what traditional Thanos has been with Strange Supreme, which is obviously a deck we're going to be talking about shortly, I found this to be fascinating. The Surtur variation of it does allow you to generate some significant value, because in my testing here, I found it cool that you usually have a 5-costed Thanos, and obviously it's going to buff Surtur. Cull Obsidian works really well with the stones, and even if Strange Supremes gives the stones the suck, it doesn't matter, because Cull Obsidian usually comes down, and then the stone gets sucked out from underneath them, right? Obviously you have Cosmo and Armor as tech pieces, both being utilized to counteract the amount of Killmonger that you're actually seeing from a tech perspective, and that's why Armor's there. And it's kind of funny. Armor, for me, in my testing with this particular deck, felt a little strange, because I'm kind of eating the stones. I don't want them to get Killmongered, but at the same time, I don't want to protect them necessarily, you know what I mean? But at the same time, you are also running things like Attuma. So you could armor, and then you could Attuma into a location, and it won't destroy the stone and allow Strange Supreme to give it the suck. Conversely, you have so many 10 power cards that armor does protect them and Cosmo from Shang-Chi. So there is that note as well. So maybe I shouldn't bash armor, because the deck is doing phenomenally well at a 59% win rate and a 0.64 cube rate. Coming in at number 7, I honestly can't begin to explain to you how much I love this deck. I mean, I gush about this deck every single week, and it seems to not get as much play as I think it deserves. This has none of the new cards in it. It just has straight up tech stuff. But seriously, when we were doing Twitch drops and I basically finished all my missions and we were just chilling, this was the deck I was playing, and I love it. I love it so much. Agent Havoc is so much fun to play, and I'm convinced that people are really sleeping on Havoc. And so I'm going to make one last pitch for this deck. That's a lie. I'll probably talk about it in the future, again, because I love it, and it's statistically doing very well. 60% win rate and 0.58 cube rate. But basically what you're doing here is you're using multiple power engines to kind of impact the board almost passively, right? If you think about it, you're playing 2 cards every single turn, and Athena is going to naturally just increase in power. Havoc you play on turn 4, and so that will just passively gain power, a lot of power. The reason why you play Havoc on turn 4 is because with Kitty Pryde, the demon from Hood, and Nico, you're effectively able to always play 2 cards in a turn, because if you think about it, you'll always have 4 energy if you play Havoc on turn 4, meaning that you can do, Demon Sage, or you can do Kitty Pryde Sage, Kitty Pryde Red Guardian, Kitty Pryde whatever. You can do one of the 3 drops. Usually you're closing with a Sage, and then, playing your 1 drop in conjunction with it. So love this deck so much. If you haven't tried this deck yet, if it wasn't for one other deck that I think is just way too awesome that you have to play this week, play this one for sure. And talking about decks that I think you should absolutely play, this one here, this is by far my favorite of the week. The one I just talked about, the Agent Havoc, has been my favorite over the last month and a half, but this one here is my favorite of the week by far. Not only does it have Sage, which is the new hotness, but you also are seeing some Scarlet Spider gameplay unironically. It has the tech that you need for the current meta with the Shang-Chi. I just love the design of this deck. And if you've been looking for a reason to play Scarlet Spider, Scarlet Spider is actually kind of fire here. You also have Jeff in this list, which obviously benefits from both Hope Summers and Elsa Bloodstone. It's been a while since we've seen a legit Elsa Bloodstone deck, and we talked about a deck similar to this last week, and this is a slightly more, I think it's a card or 2 off, but it's a slightly more refined version, running a 60% win rate at 0.73 cube rate, post-infinite only, untap-based statistics. It's crushing it. It's absolutely crushing it. And I think Surge really, really plays well here, because there's just so many cards. Pretty much everything you top deck with Surge here you can just play. Like, you know, there's nothing, maybe Zabu late in the game, you're like, bro, I don't want to play Zabu turn 4 or 5, whatever. But everything else, you top deck a Gwenpool. Like, hell yes. You know what I mean? Like, everything's a hit here. And so Search feels phenomenal in this deck. So this is my favorite of the week, 100%. If you're going to be playing anything this week, this is the one. And also, it has amongst the absolute highest cube rates of the week, despite the fact that we have a couple higher win rates. This is at a 0.73 cube rate. It's remarkable. This is the deck of the week, in my opinion, so definitely give it a shot. If you're interested in trying something that's absolute fire, and talking about absolute fire, Scream has been absolute fire for pretty much the longest time. 61% win rate, 0.51 cube rate, so higher on the win rate, lower on the cube rate. I like the other deck better, I just talked about. But this has Batroc in it. Still not sure if I'm saying it right. Someone in the comments is going to roast me, as they always do. Hydra Stomper, who honestly, I still stand behind. I think this card's pretty damn solid. It has single-handedly made Silk playable. And this deck just slaps. Honestly, it just slaps. It's doing great. And I like the idea here that you're actually running the Kingpin again. And man, it sucks, but like, there was this fall off. Like, we have the gold bundle with Diamondback. Did you guys notice, by the way, that like when you logged into the game, it actually like flashed the gold bundle at you? Like, it actually advertised it, which I thought was kind of strange. But anyways, the Diamondback version of these decks have not actually been popular, which is sad because there was this Kingpin Diamondback version, which was, I think, pretty cool. But this does have the tech of Red Guardian. It's overall just a solid deck. And surprise, surprise, Sam Wilson, Captain America, phenomenal with Batroc, who is great with Kraven because you're actually bringing 2 triggers with Kraven offensively and not even have to rely defensively on like the Polaris into Kraven or whatever, right? So a lot of value being generated with this deck. Win rate's phenomenal. Shouldn't surprise you. Scream absolutely slaps. And that's going to take us to the top 4. And we do have Toxic running a 61% win rate and a 0.66 cube rate. This deck is just awesome. It's just awesome. There's a couple variations of this. And here we're actually seeing the Spider-Man Morales, because you do have the Rocket and Groot, you do have the Sam Wilson shield. And I do find it very fascinating that Sam Wilson is good enough that it can essentially be in a deck to not only activate Miles Morales, but it's literally here and it's in a toxic shell and it's not providing a toxic synergy, which is kind of crazy. You do have the Rocket and Groot, it obviously provides the movement as well. But overall, I'd love to see a Scorpion deck. Man-Thing is probably a very underappreciated card, especially right now. Man-Thing feasts on the Havoc decks and the Elsa Bloodstone decks that I've been talking about, a lot of the Surge decks as well. So this deck is pretty well positioned for the meta. And also, of course, with Hazmat, against the Thanos list, of course, Team Strange Supreme tends to give a lot of the stones to suck. But the ongoing Thanos decks, they get destroyed by this because essentially not only does Man-Thing crush them, because all the stones, but Hazmat has many targets to hit on the opposite side, which makes Abomination almost inherently free every time, and Ajax a huge slam as well. So Toxic, a pretty good call in the meta. We have one other meta call that's coming up as well, and that's going to take us into the top 3. Starting with number 3, should come to no surprise, Supreme Thanos, 62% win rate, 0.75 cube rate. The cube rate is absolutely astronomical. This particular version of the list is running the Wiccan shell. You do have the Mobius and Mobius tech, which is useful against Esme and other cost-reducing cards, because you are seeing a lot of Sarah Surfer now as well. Obviously, Surge discounts the card as well. So Mobius and Mobius, pretty legit as a catch-all defensive play, not being used offensively in this deck, but you do have the Red Guardian tech as well, Cosmo to protect your big chonky Strange Supreme. You do have the Iron Patriot as well to just generate additional value, and of course you have the Mockingbird Thanos. This is one of those decks that almost wrote itself. You almost play consistently on curve, so speed is generally just free real estate in terms of power. Thanos, obviously, in and of itself, I often do find myself playing on 5 and then, or even on 6 with a 1-costed Mockingbird. Mockingbird and Strange Supreme, they have a love-hate relationship, because obviously the Strange Supreme will impact the ability for Mockingbird to be discounted as it eats the stones available. But regardless, Strange Supreme, clearly a phenomenal Thanos card, and has risen it to near the top of the meta. And with that being said, Strange Supreme and Thanos specifically, they want space. A lot of cards, a lot of decks want space, and it's interesting to see Clog now making its way back. Now, it's running a 63% win rate and a 0.70 cube rate, but I do caution, as of recording, this deck only had 280 games played, 270 or 280. fleet of thought here, but basically it does not have a large sample size. Now, for some people, Clog might be a bit of a controversial play style. It's kind of non-interactive, but what I will say is that, shutting down your opponent's ability to play into their locations, Cannonball continues to be a soul-crushing card here. I love to see the Hobgoblin, and I myself find it very fascinating to play Hobgoblin on turn 4 thanks to the Ravona. Ravona is really great here because you do have the Green Goblin, you have the Sage, you have Ravona. Of course, you have Gore as well, because you can actually play Gore on turn 5 and then turn 6 Cannonball, and assuming that you've done a lot of disruptive play. The Ravona also allows you to play on turn 3 the Titania Green Goblin combination, which is pretty damn sweet as well. So this deck, a little frustrating. We don't want this particular type of shell to be popular, right? But thankfully it's not necessarily popular. It's just doing really good, and so I thought I'd give it a quick mention here on the decks of the week because it is statistically doing phenomenal at a 63% win rate. Now it's going to take us to the number 1 deck of the week, and as we get to the number 1 deck, once again, be sure that you're subscribed to the channel for ongoing Thanos. Surprise, surprise, it's more Thanos. I'm sorry. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but Thanos is kind of really meta relevant right now. And so 64% win rate, 0.70 cube rate. It's just a slapping deck that uses okay, listen, I appreciate this deck more than the Strange Supreme version at the very least. I know you're like, Alex, why? It's pretty much just Thanos, but at least this has Spectrum in it, and I like the idea of it has some cool tech pieces like the Mobius and Mobius. I don't mind the fact that, gamers playing this will play the Sam Wilson, Captain America, and have the shield double buff. That's sweet. And also, okay, forgive me, I got the Gundam Blue Marvel. I need a reason to play the Gundam Blue Marvel, okay? So just let me enjoy it, okay? I spent way too much money on that stupid variant. I still regret it. I'm not saying this to brag. You should make fun of me. I should be roasted in the comments for wasting my hard-earned money on this Blarvel Gundam variant, but it's pretty damn fire. Anyways, guys, that pretty much wraps up the top 10 decks of the week. I hope you found something to play this week. Again, I want to just shout out that Elsa Bloodstone list. I think it's really cool, and if you don't want to play into the new cards, then, I do think that Havoc list is honestly tremendous fun as well. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. Honestly, you guys mean the world to me. Thank you for all the support you guys provide for my content, and we'll see you on that next one.